Imagine you win a gold medal and the president of your country invites you to the people's house, huh? Now it's under construction, but he said, come on through. And he serves you a cold ass McDouble. Like these ain't even like on set high high frequency McDonald's pieces. This giving Uber Eats. It's giving y'all send a staffer down there to them people's McDonald's. And if you've been to that McDonald's that's near the White House, it's one of the shittiest McDonald's you'll ever go to. Not McDonald's inspired, not you brought in a top chef and they made, all the things you can do with the power. That man never flexes his power and influences for the benefit of others. Like this could have been, bitch, you could have pulled Ronald McDonald up out the grave. Brought him back to life, duplicated him, and had him in the kitchen, shaking and whipping to feed them churn. And you gave them a petrified McDouble, a Big Mac, if you will, a bunch of lettuce wraps. You ain't even used your power to bring back all day breakfast. My God, I'm not gonna cap. I wouldn't shut up forever. But I would shut the fuck up for a little bit if a bitch could get a steak, egg, and cheese bagel at 4 o'clock in the afternoon. You might have did something with an executive order. These people done trained their whole life to get items off of the dollar menu. My God. Y'all are being looked down upon, talked about. You putting your mamas on TVs to try to make us feel comfortable with you going there. And he fed you something that's going to have you shitting for 40 days and 40 nights. My God.
We need a fighter. And I was so ready to vote for Jasmine Crockett because I love her. But I voted for Tallarico because we need somebody who can win. So yes, we need a fighter.
Laughs there on multiple reasons. Good morning and welcome to Black Press USA's morning show, where we bring you the headlines and the culture as you see. This morning, our co-host riding shotgun is none other than producer, executive producer, director, and has a voice in politics as well and a passion for it. Welcome, Michael J. Payton.
Thank you so much, Nia, for having me. Good morning, y'all. That was something else, right? I mean,
we're gonna get to Jasmine a little later, so we're gonna save that one. But that they not. All I can say is white folks ain't ready yet, and we tired. That's why we sitting. They not ready yet. But the young lady. The young lady that just spoke about the McDonald's and Donald Trump and the White House. What were your thoughts of him inviting the gold medal hockey team of the Winter Olympics to the White House for McDonald's?
Well, I was all in until I realized it was just a McDouble and Big Macs. Like now, if you would have brought back the McRib, I might switch parties. I might switch parties on y'all. Like, I ain't gonna lie, but I'm gonna be honest with you. This president is it's crazy because he always likes to parade himself like he's like this, the gold standard and all. But he's so like, what's the word? It's like
dumb.
Well, that.
Dumb,
but like
dumb.
everything he does is like so like not like tasteful. Like all the gold in the White House, like that's just like not anyone who actually is like rich or knows like people who understand like art and they're not going to have all that gold, right? Like you're not going to serve the American Olympic team McDonald's. Like listen, You like McDonald's, that's your thing. But like, come on, y'all. Like,
not to mention that he has a full staffed culinary kitchen downstairs, and can have any chef come in and do something. I mean, those young men deserve T-bone steak. They needed surf and turf, okay? They needed baked potatoes,
Well-
with everything, whatever type of vegetable. They needed appetizers, right? They probably needed like a 5-course American meal, or maybe you want to mix it up a little bit because you were in Italy, I mean, come on, you got
Get
the
creative.
full,
Get
you have
creative.
but you have all of the resources in the White House to do it. You didn't have to go outside. You could have showed off your culinary staff.
But that's what he thinks of the American people. Like, I think he just thinks that, we're a bunch of fools and idiots, and like, hey, serve them this I'm not gonna call it McDonald's, we're not gonna talk about McDonald's. It might be a sponsor, but I mean, I think we deserve a little more than just some fast food for our Olympic team. Although after watching them celebrate with Cash Patel, I damn near would just gave them some Burger King, but that's another story.
Well, the women, of course, has a little more respect for themselves. And I'm not mad at them for going to the White House, because they should have that experience. But the women understood the climate. They understood what's happening to our nation, and they declined to go to the White House. They declined to go to the State of the Union. Donald Trump was notified that they declined, but yet he still was disrespectful to them and said they're coming. I said this yesterday, and I think Greer did that because she knew it was going to trigger me, because it was something about at the State of the Union, Donald Trump saying, and the women are coming too. They told you no. They told you no. And it kind of reminds me of, that's probably what is redacted in those Epstein files. Young girls telling you no, and you not valuing their no. That's what that felt like to me. It's real triggering, because when you hear one of our state congressmen, Ted Lieu, talk about, it's in the files that Donald Trump molested young girls. He said it's in the files. And so for a woman to tell you that, and they say, no, we ain't coming, and you go get on TV and say they coming. No, buddy. You're exposing yourself. And then my second point is, thank God for hip hop and Flavor Flav. Okay. Hip hop always understands the assignment. Flavor Flav flew the gold medal women's hockey team to Las Vegas.
Nice.
During the same time.
Nice.
And showed them what a gentleman is, how to celebrate, and a good time.
I just want to say, the fact that we've come to a place where Flavor Flav is the standard of decorum in America, and the president of the United States is feeding the Olympic team McDonald's. I think I don't know what Twilight Zone we stepped into, but I'm ready to wake up.
Not to mention, Flavor Flav is not in the Epstein files.
Probably like one of two people. I think it's me and Flavor Flav. The only two people are not in the Epstein files.
Barack Obama is not in the Epstein files. So
neither George W. Bush either, surprisingly.
George W. Bush, not in the Epstein files. So I mean, so good morning, chat. I see you guys are coming in and flowing in. Oh, Ryan Beans 117 says neither is Biden. Biden's not in the Biden. Yeah, keep them coming in. Who else isn't in the Epstein file? We can name 1 million people that's not in the Epstein files, okay? And they're not millionaires, trillionaires.
Mm-hmm.
They're not the wealthy. They're good old American people. Okay? That's what it is.
It's a lot of people who are not in the Epstein files who are still in the Epstein files according to the internet, but that's another story for another day. That's another hot topic.
And that's the sad part about it. That's how they browbeat us, is because they'll put out a lie. And then if the person has the money and the resources and the time or cares about their good name, they have to fight it. And by the time the truth is ready, don't nobody want to hear it because they didn't already browbeated us with the lie.
Well, they say, the nobody cares about the truth if the lie is more entertaining.
Scary times to live in. Scary times to live in. Let's get to our morning poll. Chat, are you ready for the poll? So a new study says Black Americans define family broader than any other group. Okay, everybody could be our cousin. That's my sis. So the poll today is, who do you consider family? Most times we know it's outside of our relatives. So is it A, your day ones? Is it B, your church family? Is it C, your neighborhood, community? Or is it D, your college experience friends, and like your sorority, your Divine Nine, your Lion Brothers and Sisters, your Greek organizations? So who do you say outside of your real family, who do you call family? Like, that's my cuz, that's my sis. Put it in the chat. What about for me? I would say it's D, my college friends, and my day ones. So it's A and C for me. What about you, Michael?
My barber.
Okay,
that's
so is that your day one?
No,
that's fun.
No, it's just whoever can cut and give me the right lineup without making me look like Stephen A. Smith. You are family to me, I tell you. No, I think we could. I mean, Black folks, we define it very widely, man. I think anybody that's really that's like you down with, that you frequently talk to, that's family. Like, I have one of my boys. We're like, you would swear we were actually brothers, but we couldn't be further from it. But that's just how we are as Black folk. We have a very wide net, and I love that about us.
Okay, so you're E, other. Because it's not, what I'm learning about this poll, Michael, is that we don't never pick the options. We always go outside the options. No, we're not coloring in the lines. It's always, is there another option? Can we add an E? So absolutely. You added an E.
Listen, I think Black folks made the secret menu at In-N-Out. That's what I think. Because I don't like. We never gonna pick what's right there on the menu.
Yeah. Oh, funny. Okay, so the chat did play along. So Dr. Marilyn says A and D. She says her day ones and her Greek friends and Soros. And I guess brothers as well. Helen Brown says A, B, and C. Her day ones, her church family, and her neighbors. I could see that, especially if you lived in a neighborhood, for more than 10 or maybe 5 years, I could see that happening. And then who else? Good morning, David Youngblood. Who do you consider family outside of your family? Is it your day ones, close friends, church, neighbors, or line brothers? So y'all keep chiming in about that. And we'll keep reading your comments. So yeah. That was fun. Okay, so let's jump into our first story of the morning. And it's about Black history. So Henrietta Lacks estate wins against Novartis. Now, the estate has reached a settlement with Novartis over claims the company benefited from the unauthorized use of her cells in medical research for decades following her death. Now, although the case against Novartis has been settled, the estate's family against Novartis are still ongoing, along with a separate 2023 lawsuit against a rare disease company called Ultragenyx, which the family alleges profited heavily by using Lack's cells as a factory for its gene therapy products. Now, back to Novartis, it's become the second biopharmaceutical company to settle with the estate following an undisclosed 2023 agreement that resolved a 2-year-old unjust enrichment lawsuit between the family and Thermo Fisher. So at the end of the day, with all of that, I'm so glad that her family is getting the justice that Henrietta Lacks deserves.
Yeah, amen. Amen. Yeah, stop using us for, y'all experiments, y'all. Like, come on.
And what I was thinking about with this was, as we're celebrating this nation for 250 years, one of the probably the most significant breakthrough in our 250 years is Henrietta Lacks's genes. Think about that. You know what I'm saying? And so when we talk about the erasure of Black history or American history, here we are. And her genes have saved millions of lives, not just in America and worldwide. So when I think about celebrating 250 years, I'm thinking about her, and then I'm thinking about the injustice that was done to her and so many other Black men and women. Like, look at what happened in Tuskegee. Look at what happened to one of my favorites, and her name is slipping my mind. I'm sick and tired of being sick and tired. Who said that? I mean, it's slipping my mind. Greer, put it in the chat. Put it in the chat for me. But
that ain't Fannie Lou.
Yeah, Fannie Lou Hamer.
Fannie Lou, yep.
It's early. Fannie Lou Hamer. It's so many people in our country, Black folks, that have suffered for science in this country. And so when we think about 250 years, Henrietta Lacks is somebody that definitely deserves to be on a coin, a dollar bill, on the side of the Human and Health Services building at the CDC. Everybody needs to be celebrating her. Thank you, Fannie Lou. Yes. Fannie Lou. Dr. Mellon says our vaccines we have all are still being used. Yeah. I love it. Everybody's popping in Fannie Lou Hamer. But yeah, so this is huge for her family, a huge victory for her family. And I'm glad that they continue to hold these pharmaceutical companies, to the table, because they're making millions of dollars. Think about all of the medicine that they make, that our families and our communities use, all based upon Henrietta Lacks, and they don't want to pay up.
No, and then it's time for. It's really time for them to do that. As much profits as these pharmaceutical companies make, come on. They need to be paid. They need to pay beyond that, because we get another topic for another day. But I'm glad the families got their justice.
Yeah, and there's a lot more that need to pay as well. And as we look at what's happening at from the White House, Donald Trump now has a pharmaceutical company. Imagine that.
I was during the State of the Union, I actually went on it and seen, and it's like, it looks like one big scam. It's really just one big scam. It doesn't even seem like a real thing. But if that's your answer to Obamacare, Mr. President, try again.
That's a great point, though. Obama brought us Obamacare, which was, healthcare for all, and that had its challenges because it wasn't as, affordable as we would have liked. But I think with any bill, you have to keep working on it.
Absolutely.
To get it right. And you have to keep amending it. But then you have a president that is not even thinking about affordable health care. He's thinking about how to make money with the pharmaceutical company.
Well, I'm just, and I was in my group chat during the State of the Union, like, they've been talking about, Trump has been saying you're gonna replace it with something great. Okay, well, it's been like 15 years, y'all. Like, where's the replacement for Obamacare, or what's your plan? Because right now it seems like the Obamacare, which by the way was a Republican idea, by the way, but they have to hate it because Obama's name is in front of it, or they put his name in front of it. But truthfully, all you can do is build on what Obamacare has already done, the Affordable Care Act. because what else can you do? I would love to see their plan, but I don't think they have one.
No, and they don't care, but I don't even think it's about a plan anymore. Like the hoods are off. They don't care. They're not even really, they're trying, their main conversation right now is how to fund ICE. Not the American people. It's how to fund ICE, which means that Christine Omi will continue to ride on lavish private jets. You know, her higher ups will continue to live on military bases. I mean, it's just a straight money grab for them, and they're not hiding it.
And what's up with these? I gotta do some more research, but these Trump accounts that they're pouring all this money into for kids allegedly. I'm like, that sounds like a big grift waiting to happen. But right, it's clear this administration and Trump's whole thing is about lining his pockets, lining his family's pockets, and he could give a damn about the American people. And it's it's evident in the way he's treating the U.S. team, right? But it's also evident in the policies they make every single day. I mean, this is it's some rough times we're living in, but here we are.
Right. Let's head to Texas, where a 2-week university and Texas Politic Project poll, which concluded on February 16th, shows that Congresswoman Rep. Jasmine Crockett is leading Rep. Tellerico 56% to 44% among likely Democratic primary voters in Texas. And so there's a lot of polls that are coming out that have Jasmine Crockett leading to be the Democrat nominee in the Senate race against Paxton. And so, I mean, I think this is good. I think you don't celebrate. You keep pushing. You don't forget the polls. And then we saw, Miss the white woman that was on earlier crying because she couldn't vote for her. And it kind of just reminds me, that's just kind of where we are now. They feel bad, but I don't think it's bad enough.
Yeah, I mean, it's crazy that people will limit themselves because of their perceptions. And by the way, it gets done on even with us sometimes too. There's some of us who I remember during the 24 election, they were like, well, I heard some of our folks saying that I love Kamala, but she can't win. We set ourselves up for failure. That's already how other folks are thinking anyway. So we can't think like that either. I mean, I think Jasmine Crockett is probably going to win. She should win. I mean, she is like the voice of the consciousness, I would say, of the Democratic Party and the voice that we need. You may not agree with everything that she says. I certainly don't, but I definitely think that her voice is necessary. And I think that we need that kind of disruption. We need somebody that's really going to like speak truth to power. And love to see her in the Senate, and also love to see Texas eventually make that transition to blue. Please.
Yeah, definitely. I think I love how we see her moving throughout Texas from HBCUs, to local shops, which is what you do pretty much. It's pretty standard when you're campaigning. Did you want to say something, Greer?
Yeah, I want to say that at this point, I think that we need to move. We got to just be like, F it. We ain't got nothing to lose. With everything that they are doing right now, with all the rollbacks, I mean, this man had a State of the Union, and even though we know that DEI did not benefit us, they think, and their constituents think that they do, and people stood up and cheered, right? Yeah. So we need to come to terms with the country that we live in, and so there's strategy, and then there's what's really happening, right? So to walk into the booth and say, well, she can't win. That white woman's tears was just like, you've been around. You've been doing this. You know what I mean? This ain't the first time you've done this. You did it when Kamala was running, and how, listen, you got white privilege. Why would you be scared about any damn thing?
Right.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I just feel like, like right now we start talking about strategy and what we're seeing with Democrats doing nothing. Yo, my G, I'm not respecting none of them. And we've been me and Neil been going offline how they did our man Al Green, how they let their brothers, he stands on business, and these men sit there, these black men sit there and watch him be surrounded. He was down for it. So I have no feelings of wanting to be soft about nothing.
Yeah, I mean, you wanted to say something, Michael?
No, I mean, I'll just say, to Greer's point, I think that you see a lot of people just sitting on the sidelines, not doing anything. The Democratic Party overall feels very, very weak. And I say that as somebody who's voted Democrat my whole life, but it feels very weak right now. So even though, like I said, I may not, sometimes you don't always have to agree with everything somebody says, but I definitely love let's get in their face and let's be abrasive. We need that energy, because trust me, the president and the Republicans, they're doing that, and they're speaking to real people. And I feel like people like Jasmine Crockett speaks to real people. Now, I will say this though, because with that poll, that 64%, that's not just black folks, right? That's not just black folks in that poll. Yeah. 56. That's white folks too. That's Latino folks too. That's everybody else too. So also, I feel like sometimes we as black folks, we need to also realize that there's always going to be, we just had not our governor, but the governor of Maryland was not invited to the damn governor's dinner with the president. Why? We know why, because he's black, right? Let's just be honest. We know that exists, but he still won the majority of his state. So there's white folks that's on our side. There's brown folks that's on our side. Asian folks on our side. We speak for we have the pulse of the public. We just got to put those blinders on and not worry about, like, that lady. God bless her. Maybe she really was sincere, maybe she wasn't. I don't know, but that's between her.
She was sincere.
I mean, but maybe she really thought about it.
She
Maybe
was
she was
really conflicted, but it's like she's not. But that goes to my point. I don't think they're ready, and I'm saying the context of when I'm saying they not ready is like, black folks, we're picking and choosing our battles. You know what I'm saying? A lot of us find our relief here, going off in the chat. I find sometimes being able to release here. But I'm not ready to lace up my shoes. And we did that already the last time around. You know what I'm saying? We're still trying to process, did Kamala really win? And then still trying to process how could you vote against that? Okay. So we still trying to process that right there. And so when you see something like that, I'm like, they still not ready. And so you know what? I'm gonna sit with my coffee.
But Nia,
and I'm gonna talk to Greer and go off, and and talk to you.
I'm gonna say this. We have talks offline. Black folks, we need our rest. I mean, we've been working for 300 something, probably longer than that, damn years, right, in this country. But at the same time, black folks need to realize that we are just as American as that white lady that y'all put on the top of the show. We're probably more American if you think about it. I mean, if you want to do a DNA test, so. I think that we have to realize that we have agency, that we while we have to take our rest, we cannot afford to just sit on the sidelines. We have to stay engaged, because guess what? There's a majority of white folks that's on our side. All white folks ain't like that lady. All white folks ain't like Trump. All people, all Republicans ain't like Trump. There's a lot I talk to Republicans almost on a daily basis, people who used to be Republican, or people who like, man, this ain't my party no more, right? So we have to understand that the media does this thing. We know, because we are media, right? But like how the media, it rewards the thing that's the loudest, the thing that's the most controversial. So we will fixate on that lady, but where's probably the 10 other white folks who did pull the lever for Jasmine Crockett? Like let's talk about them, because trust me, 54% in that poll, or however much, 56%, that ain't just our folks. They ain't just all black folks voting for Jasmine Crockett. So let's also keep that in mind too while we get our rest and go off in the chat.
no, but I and like sometimes I think that some others, like white folks, or sometimes they're innocently ignorant, or either they just don't care. And I want to respond to RJS Florida, because I think these are really times where you can maybe enlighten people, or just, put it out there. But he says, you sound so stupid when you say the president didn't invite him because he's black. You guys are enslaved by your own thoughts. And I'll say this. Yeah, he did disinvite the Democratic governors, right? And then they also said that they weren't going. But the fact that he's the only black sitting governor in this country, and because
Yeah.
of that reason alone, and because of how it made him feel, because he did express, he said he did feel a certain way. So it's not so you can't negate. And I know I'm talking to a wall, but I think these are healthy conversations, because I remember when I was at Fox, and this was like 2021 or maybe 2019, in between that time. And this is when they were really leaning on wanting to have that black content back, like they used to have with Living Color and Living Single and that type of thing. And they wanted to have these conversations. It was after George Floyd. They wanted to have all of these racial conversations and this and that. And I was like, I just straight up told the white folks, I said, unless you're really ready to talk about race and racism in this country and what it means to be a black person and a white person, you're just wasting your time. And I think I find that true with a lot of white folks. They don't want to address the elephant in the room. They don't want to talk about white supremacy. They don't want to talk about racism. They want to tell us that, oh, you guys are living in the past. But at its core, this country is built upon systemic racism and white supremacy. That's why you see Donald Trump and his clan doing all the things that they had, because they back in charge.
Well, I think, and to address the person, and it's important to have dialogue and have conversations, but at the same time, like some things are, when we start at the point where we're calling people names and all this other stuff, this is where we lose ourselves in I think the American discourse that we have right now. Governor Westmore was not invited. There was other Democrats who were invited. Let's to be clear, right? Like that it wasn't just like he disinvited all Democrats, right? So one can only come to the conclusion. Well, we also know that he's a Democrat in Maryland and all that stuff, but what other conclusion do y'all want us to come to, White House? I mean, for me, I don't.
That he was not worthy. What makes him not worthy?
And that's what I'm saying. And
that's
what I'm saying.
There's layers to it. It's not just like, oh no, there's layers to how it was done and what was said.
But here's the thing, though. There's the secret thing that y'all don't that people may not look at. Donald Trump knows what he's doing, right? I don't think Donald Trump, honestly, if I'm being honest with y'all, I don't think Donald Trump gives a damn about race or anything like that. Not because he's not a race. I just think he cares about one thing himself. He cares about attention. He knows how to play this game. He knows what he's going to do is going to stoke certain conversations and divisions and makes people, and it distracts from what's really going on. It distracts from the fact that no, milk and eggs are not going down. I just went to Ralph's the other day. It still ain't going down. The cost of living still ain't going down. So let's throw this little race red meat out there so they can start talking and fight amongst themselves and call each other stupid and enslaved and all the other stuff while we're over here lining our pockets, while we're over here funding ICE, while we're over here doing all the other things. So Trump knows exactly what he's doing when he plays into the race card.
I kind of disagree with that. I believe that Donald Trump is a racist. It is his lineage. I say this all the time. We say that we are, as Black folks, we are our ancestors' wildest dreams. He is his daddy's wildest dreams. It is noted that his father was a member of the KKK, and probably his daddy was too. It is noted that they discriminated against Blacks in the 1970s. So although he wants to line his pocket, Donald Trump is a racist, and we can't and we can't get past that. The Klan is in the White House. Stephen Miller. Wait, I'm not finished. Stephen Miller, Stephen Bannon are still in the White House, and they are as racist as you can get. So I don't want to just say that they just some rich folks in the White. No, the Klan, white supremacy is running the White House.
It is noted that he took a full page ad out on 5 Central Park students. He had nothing to do with it, and called for their executions. It is noted that even after they were found not guilty, he still stood on the business of trying to criminalize them and still said that they needed to be killed. I mean, come on, this man is who he is, and we can't pretend
he is a racist.
That's not the point that I'm making. Is
I understand your point, though, Michael. I agree with you.
I do too.
So while I think he's just a racist, but his racism isn't what's driving him as much as he's focused on himself and his money. I agree with you on that in that regard. Because he is a racist, a vilest racist, and he's a leader of this country.
Because here's one thing that the elite and the really wealthy folks and the folks who run everything, right? They know is that they know how to throw the red meat and make us respond. We know that. I mean, it's a lot of Democrats that are racist. I'm gonna keep it real. There's a lot of Democrats that y'all probably know and love and who are racist. I'll tell you straight up. We'll get into another show. But we have to understand where our power lies, right? Lyndon B. Johnson was in the White House he's on tape, who said, that N-word preacher referring to Martin Luther King. We know he was a bigot, yet he still passed the Civil Rights Act or helped sign in the legislation because of the pressure that the Civil Rights Movement and the Southern Leader Conference was putting on the White House, right? So no matter who's in the White House, we still got to be about our agenda, what we're about, right? Like America is founded and rooted in racism and systemic racism, but we have to strategically be able to I ain't gonna say look beyond it, but see it, see through it, and understand what they're trying to do with it. Because at the end of the day, it's making us fight amongst each other and lose sight of what's actually happening, which is the cost of living, the fact that folks aren't getting jobs, the fact that so many Black and brown folks are saddled with debt, student loans, and all this stuff, and they want to distract us with this stuff about race, which is very real, right?
Yeah,
it's very real.
Michael, I just wanted to say for the record, I agree with Michael. I'm on that, but I also, we gotta call this racism out,
right? But I think that you could walk and chew gum at the same time, and I think that you could talk about the American issues, right? I think that you could do that, but I also think that you have to address the systemics of it all, because even though we know that, to your point, the Democrats got some too. I think that this country was on a better trajectory before Donald Trump and the Klan took over. I think we were pushing. I didn't see what I'm seeing with ICE.
Yeah, sure.
So that's my point. I saw, Obamacare, and although it was high, I saw people trying to fix that, right? There's so many things that were happening at a slow pace. I saw some of privatized prisons going away. So this country was slowly on a better trajectory than it's on now. I saw our leaders being able to work across the aisle, and I'm talking across the aisle in Washington, but also around the world. I didn't see our country going into other countries snatching up leaders.
I'll say that for sure. Optically, it looked like that, but we forget that Obama was deporting folks too, which that's the job of the president.
But it was done. You're right, but it wasn't.
And it wasn't
ICE
done.
Was not killing people.
Absolutely. No, absolutely, right. And I think back on the first term, and there was kids in cages. I think back on. I mean, we think back. We forget that COVID-19 happened under Donald Trump too, right? Like, so there's a lot of things that, obviously, but I think the underbelly of that is that there has been, no matter who's been in office, regardless if it was Democrat, Republican, there's been a growing wealth gap in this country, and Black folks have been, getting further and further sliding behind that in that wealth gap. And I think that is really the core issue of everything. And it does play, and race and everything plays a factor into that. But we also have to remember that just because it has a pretty face on it, or just because it has a face that looks familiar and is warm and fuzzy to us, there's still real things going on. We still have to hold their feet to the fire, regardless if it's Trump, if it was Kamala. We still have to do the work on the ground and make sure that we're holding people's feet to the fire and make sure that we're getting our issue, because at the end of the day, no matter who's in office, the wealthy are getting wealthier, the poor are getting poor, and there's no.
Let me just say this: before, over 200,000 Black women were employed. over black. We were doing our thing since Trump has been in office. So I don't think
roll
that
back.
yeah. So I mean, this is not that, okay? This nation is worse, way off, and it's going to take us years to get it back on its feet. I'd take a Joe Biden, it's Sleepy Joe. I would take Sleepy Joe over Clan Trump any day.
Absolutely. I don't know. We're not debating that point whatsoever. Like, obviously, I think that life would be slightly better under Democrats. But again, I say slightly because at the end of the day, we still have to do the work. We still have to build the infrastructure. I know the number very intimately. 300,000+ Black women lost their jobs just in the first year of this administration, right? Like that's and a lot of that when we look back at like 2020 and the aftermath of George Floyd, there was a lot of folks. I mean, we just did a documentary, Nia, I'm sure we'll talk about it, but folks were pouring money into diversity offices and let's do that and let's be more intentional about hiring. I tried to warn people back then. I said, you know what, this is beautiful, we love it. But also let's remember these companies are going to do what's best for their bottom line. Right now, it's culture, it's pop. You got Ashton Kutcher, you got Taylor Swift, you got all these folks talking about Black Lives Matter and we need to be more diverse. The minute that pendulum swings, so are them jobs. And we've seen that happening. So the important thing is, and that was, Trump, Biden, whatever, and now we're back to Trump. The important thing is that we built our infrastructures, things like we have right here with BLACKPRESS. We got to continue to build that up. So even when the New York Times or CBS wants to fire all the Black folks or NBC wants to get rid of their Black division, we still have places like this that we can go to and get information, right? So I think, again, we have to call out the racism. We have to call out that stuff. But this stuff has been brewing. It's been there. And guess what, y'all? It ain't going nowhere. It ain't going nowhere. So we have to continue to build infrastructure within this country, but without this country as well, right? So just keep that in mind that while it's important to call it out, we also have to call in ourselves to make sure that we are building what we need to be sustainable on our own and not just worrying about who's in the White House is ultra important, but also remember it's who's in your school, your city council. It's also who's on your school board. It's also who's your mayor, who's your sheriff. So let's not lose sight of the fact that we still have an enormous amount of power in this country, and that we cannot allow just these ignorant things like the statement that the lady made at the top of the show, or these little things to lose sight of the fact that, you know what, all white folks ain't like that, and just like all Black folks ain't like the way some people think. We have to build coalitions and work across the aisle to get stuff done for our communities to make sure we live in a country that we want to see.
I think that's the beautiful struggle of the Black experience, that's where we learned, how to do this, from slavery and to freedom, to Reconstruction, getting through Jim Crow. I mean, civil rights, it goes on and on. So I think that's one thing that we do know. And you did touch on, local elections, state elections. And next Tuesday, this poll that we talked about for Jasmine Crockett, we're going to see if it's true or if they were trying to trick us, because you got to be careful nowadays with data. But March 3rd, there will be elections in Texas, North Carolina, and Arkansas. And so if you are in any of those 3 states, we encourage you to find out, pay attention to the mailers that are going to be coming to you. I know your phone may be blowing up with calls from candidates and ballot initiatives, but it's just to inform you and remind you of what's at stake. It's candidates that do you want a racist candidate, or do you want a candidate that is going to do the good of the American people? I mean, racism is on the ballot, y'all. And see, that's another, I swear the Democratic Party needs to hire me. I mean, racism is on the ballot. It is. So who you gonna vote for? Now, it might not be on this particular ticket for Jasmine, but this is the runoff between Democrats. But at the same time, if you look at her record and see what she's done, I'm not telling you who to vote for, but I'm just saying. But as a large, if you're in North Carolina, Arkansas, or any state, as we look at the midterms, do not forget that racism is on the ballot. And at this particular time, the R in Republican just doesn't stand for that. It stands for racism. Okay. So see, I'm telling you, I'm
Come on now.
giving the Democrats game. The R isn't just for
Nice.
Republican, it's for racism. So if you
I'm
want to
sure.
keep this going, vote the R. But if you want to get America back on track, vote for a Democrat. Oh, no.
That's unfair to my. I got a lot of Republican friends. That's not fair. All of them ain't racist.
I mean,
but if you are racist, you're probably Republican.
the R in Republican, right? You could look at the State of the Union, Michael, and see what the R stands for. All right, that's just my 2 cents. So this show is about news, views, and opinions. So we're going to give you the headlines, but sometimes you're going to get our opinions. And I'm entitled to have mine, just like Michael's entitled to have his, and our producer Greer is entitled to have hers. And most importantly, in the chat, you can be whatever you want to be. Sometimes we'll respond, and sometimes we'll ignore you. All right, let's go on and continue to talk about a little more politics. I thought this was a little fun, and like in the aftermath of Melania Trump's flopped documentary, news is coming out that Grace Jones and the Prince estate, along with Guns N' Roses, chose to pass on the film. Now, producers did manage to license music from Michael Jackson, Tears for Fears, Aretha Franklin, and the Rolling Stones. But the story that was trending yesterday was Grace Jones said, hell to the no. No, thank you. Okay. And, you know, she probably said it a lot more colorful than that. You know, she was probably offended. But so have you seen the Melania as a lover of documentaries and being a director? Did you watch it? Have you seen it?
Hell no, I ain't seen it. I mean, it's not. I when it comes on digital, you know, for free, I'll watch it. But I wasn't going. I mean, what could it possibly be about? One, and no, you know, well, I won't say no shade, but yeah, shade to the first lady for being married to that guy. But no, I haven't seen it. I've heard very terrible things about it. So I'm not really excited to watch it. But
you know, and she's in the Epstein files, and so is the executive director Brett Ratner. He's in the Epstein files too.
Oh,
so Michelle Obama is not in the Epstein files. She's not.
I would hope not.
She's not. She's not. I'm just saying. Valerie Jarrett. She's not in the Epstein files. She's not. And so moving on to some more pop culture news. Brian McKnight is suing Urban One, the Ricky Smiley Show, and radio host Karen Clark. At first, I thought this was the gospel singer, but this is not. This is not Karen Clark Sheard. Okay, it's not her. Now, the R&B veteran has officially filed a defamation of character lawsuit targeting the Ricky Smiley morning show and North Carolina radio personality Karen Clark. Now, the legal action stems from ongoing public commentary regarding McKnight's highly publicized and fractured relationship with his biological children. Now, McKnight is seeking $25,000 in compensation and damages for each claim, as well as punitive damages. So neither Ricky Smiley, Urban One, or Karen Clark has responded. And of course, Urban One is the parent company, which is owned by the legendary Kathy Hughes and ran by her son, Alfred Liggins. Thoughts about this?
I mean, it's just, we live in a world that you can sue for anything. If you're a public figure, and I'm always a little tight about this, because I feel like just because someone is a public figure or a celebrity doesn't mean that they should be subject to certain things. But this has been a very public thing with his family, and you know, to sue for defamation, like that's crazy. I mean, it's like when Drake suing Kendrick Lamar and his record label over not like us. Like, come on, like this is the sport. This is the game that we live in. Like, so if that's the case, I would sue the guy in the chat for calling me stupid earlier. We just suing everybody. Let's do it. Like, that don't make sense. Come on, y'all.
You know, I found this interesting because I'm sure that there were jocks at iHeart talking about this same story in the same capacity. So why would you pick and choose the black-owned media company?
we like to eat our own. It's easier to come after people that look like yourself. Because go out. I'm sure it's no limit to how many folks were at iHeart and all the other big stations.
Cumulus, that we're talking about it.
Come on.
But you're gonna go to Urban One, and I think that's part of one of our Black folks' superpowers is that we see things from different lenses. Because white folks have had white privilege all their life. Greer hooked me to a podcast, and it was talking about, this guy was just saying, I just want Black folks to be free. I don't want us always to have to worry about the next hustle and how to put somebody on. Well, white folks, that if they want to take a year off from college and have a gap year, if they want to, they don't have the same, thought process sometimes as we have, or the same lens, because they don't have to have that experience.
Is that fair to say white folks, or is just like privileged, wealthy and financially privileged folks? Because I know a lot of Black folks take a gap year. I'm like, how you do that? But
that was just one. That was just one example. That was just one example of what he was saying. But I just, they don't call it white privilege for nothing. You know what I'm saying? And there is a certain level of they don't have to worry about if they get pulled over, if they're gonna get snatched out of a car. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. For no reason. They don't have those same, lenses or experiences that Black folks have. So then when they say, oh, just get over it, or you're thinking too much about it, it's like, no, because our experiences are different. And I'm not asking them to, all I'm asking for is understanding.
Oh, you're never going to get it. And this
no, I'm not.
So and to take us off topic even more,
you thought you got called stupid, Scott Davis, like the name calling, calling. And everybody be like, oh, just don't address it. It's fine. It's a chat. We could, it's just like, this is how you have discourse and conversation. I'm not offended,
Right.
I'm really not.
And it's also about, I think, having, I think Black folk. So we talk about white privilege, right? I subscribe to this idea. I have Black privilege, right? Because I grew up with so much struggle, with so much trauma, with so much. You have to be built different to be successful in this. I got to be a little tougher than maybe my counterpart who didn't have to go through the things I had to go through, right? So for me, it's like Black folks in this country, we are traumatized. We have a lot of trauma. We have a lot of triggers that we have gone through because historically, how can you not? We can just look at our recent history and how things. But when you reverse it, right, and you say, no, I got Black privilege, because guess what? You might be, if you're in college, you oh my God, if I don't get if I don't score whatever on this essay, on this test, my dad's gonna kill me. It's like, what? Well, just the fact that I'm in college, my mama love me and she's proud of me, and that's the win already, right? So that's like it's not about like low expectations, but it's also about like you have to be tough. You can get through not having an A. You can get through not being, whatever these things that other people get stumbled up on, because you actually have gone through real ish. And I think that's what makes us tougher. So if we take those things and make it our superpower, and let's stop giving them all the. I don't like saying. It's true, white privilege does exist, right? Yes. But let's stop giving them that, because I feel like when we start saying that to folks outside of us, right? It almost feels like we're, I don't want to say diminishing ourselves, but it's almost like we're accepting the fact that we're not privileged. No, let's look at the fact that that we have certain privileges. That in our own community, some things that we can do that they can't do. And we got to use that as our strength and our superpower to build up our confidence. Because I don't want to tell my younger cousins and kids coming up like, oh, you can't do something because you're Black, or you're limited because you're Black. We have to acknowledge the fact that there is white supremacy, there is white privilege, but there's also pretty privilege. There's also height privilege. There's also intelligence privilege. There's also cool privilege. You know what I mean? Like you can get away with ish if you a cool, good-looking dude that you couldn't if you was a not so cool. You know what I mean? Like it's things that so build up that confidence in us that we're not always looking at ourselves like we're down, or we have to, you know,
but it's
we
not
got a lot
even
of power
about, for
ourselves.
me, I mean, we do have a lot of power, but look at what happened at the BAFTA awards. Delroy and Michael B. Jordan had all the power in the world, but that still cut Michael B. Jordan to his core, and it made his parents cry. So we could have all of that, but it's still that common denominator of racism that continues to infiltrate. So I mean, I hear what you're saying. I hear what you're saying, and I think Black people are resilient. I think that's why Donald Trump and his clan wanted to cut us down and take all of our, because they see our power, and they saw the elevation through the years of how we are. But it still doesn't take it away. And you know, it's like, there was somebody in the chat that said, Extreme Hunter says, this is Black Press. Do you need to be Black, or can I be Mexican? Of course you could be Mexican. And when he said that, it's like, you know, even, you know, it takes me back to my Fox days. And, you know, people were mad. Some people had a problem with Fox dedicating a whole Black platform, Fox Soul, you know, to, you know, and so it was like, you know, and a couple of them was our Latino brothers and sisters. And and my response to that was, well, can we go on Telemundo? No, y'all don't have nobody, y'all don't have no Black people on Telemundo because we don't speak Spanish. You know what I'm saying? So everything, like, can we have something? You know what I'm saying? And we can learn, but I learn from my brown brothers and sisters. I do. But there's just something about our experience. It made me think of the Black national anthem in the last lyrics, true to our God, true to our native land. But guess what? Blacks in America don't even have a native tongue. You know what I'm saying? We don't, African Americans, we don't have no language. You know, you want to call it ebonics, but you know, our brown brothers and sisters, they have Spanish, you know, Brazil, they have Spanish, you know, Nigerians, they have their I'm African, we don't have no native tongue because white folks stripped it from us. So so when we have these conversations, you know, we talk about racism, let's be real about it.
Right. And that's why I say, Neil, that Black Americans, African Americans, we more American than anybody, because we, like, it's like you said, I can't trace. I mean, I'm sure if I go in 23andMe, I can probably trace back to the Yoruba tribe, or so I can figure out where I'm from. I can figure out where I'm from distant time ago. But we like 3, 4, 5 generations in this thing, right? Like I'm as American as this is all I know. This is all my experience as a Black American is what I know. And so this is our native tongue. This is our native land. And so what I try to impress upon people all the time, especially our folks, especially when it comes to, we're talking about elections, right? And when people say, I'm gonna sit it out, it don't matter, it ain't our problem. No, it is our problem, because guess what? The tax that you pay from your paycheck goes to fund those politicians, goes to fund that police department, goes to fund that fire department. Like, regardless if you participate or not, your dollars, your resources, your energy is still going to fund this same thing. So like, you got to take care of like, at the end of the day, you got to take care of your house. Like, make sure that the sheriff that's in your city represents with your value. Make sure that school board represents a school board that you want your kids to be a part of, right? Like, so and I think the biggest thing that they've done, right, is make us feel like this ain't really our country. And that's why I say earlier, bring it back to Westmore and everything. It's absolutely, all that stuff is intentional to make us feel excluded, to make us feel like, oh, well, we're not good enough, right? But it's there to make us feel like this ain't ours, because they know if the vote wasn't that important, Neo, if our vote was not that important, why are they spending billions? I'm not talking about millions, billions, maybe trillions of dollars to make sure that we don't vote. Why are they going out of their way to make sure that we have to show ID and do all these things? I mean, it's like another jelly bean tax. They're going out of their way to make sure that we the jelly bean test, not tax, going out of their way to make sure that we don't vote, because they know that every citizen, I don't care if you're Elon Musk or if you Elon me, one person, one vote. So we're equal there. So if you can make us not equal with your money, and you can suppress our voices and keep us down and say, hey, don't go vote. Oh, you know, that white lady who just there's a bunch of white people who are not gonna vote for Jasmine Crockett because, you know, they're not ready, or she can't win. That's BS. Because look at that poll, she can win. and she probably will win. So again, we just had to look past the okie doke and not be fooled by what these folks is doing, because it's on some straight Yoda reverse psychology Jedi mind trick stuff, while making us think that, oh, you're second class citizens, that's why I don't, and I'll shut up after this, but that's why I don't subscribe to this idea of like calling out white privilege in public, because I'm like, what y'all are trying to do is make us feel like we still have to, even our white liberal allies, we have to still, we need a white savior to come and help us because we don't have privilege. F that. We got just as much privilege. Worry about where your dollars are going, and worry about where your vote is going, and mind your business. Take care of your family.
Okay, I believe that right there, because I could debate that, but we got to move on. Let's do some pop culture. Salt and Pepper have filed a notice of appeal after a federal judge dismissed their lawsuit against Universal Music Group. So the notice of appeal was filed with the U.S. Court of Appeals for the on June 8th. Now, iHeart reported that the dismissal stemmed from a dispute over whether Cheryl and Pepsi, Salt and Pepper, let's just say Salt and Pepper, ever owned their copyrights to their early recordings. And according to the ruling, the group never owned the copyrights to their sound recordings and therefore cannot reclaim them. So I mean, this just has to pretty much do with not reading the contract, or you know what I'm saying, and no, and that happened a lot, and it still happens a lot.
Yeah, 100%.
But I'm glad that they are appealing, and they're fighting for their music. Salt and Pepper, before there was Nicki Minaj, Little Kim, Meg Thee Stallion, Remy Ma, there was Salt and Pepper. Yeah.
And I'll say that this is why obviously reading the contract is so important, but also this is why ownership is so important. And I'm actually working on a documentary right now about the evolution of independent Black music, right? And I actually interviewed Steve Stout, and he's talking about how back in the days, like people would just give these crazy contracts, and folks weren't reading it because you out the hood, you get somebody offering you a $10,000, $20,000, you like, yeah, I'll take it. Where I got to sign at? All right, bet. And you see what happens years later. Like people don't own their stuff, and it causes problems. We live in an era now where there's a lot more independent artists and people are owning their stuff. We have artists like La Russell and others who are, really building the conversation around ownership and understanding what's in these contracts. So I hope they can find their way out of this, but it's definitely a testament to where things were, and why we got to keep doing the work to make sure we don't get stiffed.
Right. That's for sure. And making sure that you're comfortable with everything on the front end, instead of trying to fix it on the back end after you've already read and signed the situation. But in good news, Isaac Hayes' estate settles with Donald Trump. So the estate and family of the late singer Isaac Hayes have reached a settlement in their long-running copyright lawsuit against Donald Trump, who used Hayes' pen song "Hold On, I'm Coming" during his 2020 and 2024 presidential campaign. Now, Isaac Hayes, the son, who is the owner of Fanbase, said he and the family are satisfied with the outcome. So somebody was able to hold Donald Trump accountable, and I need that story to be amplified. Isaac Hayes' estate has held Donald Trump accountable and got some of that money that he's making from all of the American tax dollars that he's taken.
I'll take it.
And last but not least, let's talk a little bit. You talk about before we wrap up and get into our Black Facts. You're working on documentaries, and we just completed one. I kind of shared with the chat that we had our first screening of Stolen, Money, Lives, and Movement, which is the story of Black Lives Matter that you and I worked on, which is one of 4 documentaries that we have in development, which is very exciting to release the first one. And so how do you feel? How do you feel about have you ever done the film festival journey before?
Yeah, I think we entered a couple of things. We've had a couple of screenings in some festivals. Yeah, it's super exciting. It's always like a thrill, right? Watching
Mm-hmm.
other people react to your work in real time. Obviously, I've had a national show, but you can't see everybody's reaction in real time except for on Twitter. And that was interesting. But like, no, it's definitely exciting. It's definitely it's an honor to work on this, with you. I was excited to really tell this story because I feel like it's something that a lot of people don't really know, right? I mean, we had this moment of reckoning in 2020, especially, but was brewing before that, with the Black Lives Matter movement and this whole kind of consciousness that we were coming to in this country. And I think that message got very, very much diluted, intentionally, and some was self-inflicted and some was definitely outside forces. But to be able to sit there and help you tell this story, it's definitely, I think, necessary right now, especially in the time that we're living in now. I think people need to understand this is how movements build and become successful, and it's also how they can fail and how they can, how things can potentially go wrong if you're not careful.
But and two, I think it also speaks to how, like, we to like stick a, to bring it full circle, like talking about, white privilege and talking about, Black versus white racism and like what they did to the Black Panthers, right? What Donald Trump still tried to do to even Dr. King by releasing those files, what they do to our movements, right? What they've done to the Black Lives Matter movement. I mean, yeah, Patrice bought a house. Yeah, there's some sketchy stuff, but look at the American Red Cross. Over 60% of their administration costs goes to, of their fundraising goes to administration costs. It's not going to the people, but that's what they do. But you can have the Ku Klux Klan, still have their federal status. You know what I'm saying? And they can run mayhem, but you have a movement that simply says Black Lives Matter, and they try to destroy it and mess it up. And so, once again, it's just all about America and the divide between Black and white. It starts there. It's racism, and that, to me, that's a perfect example of white privilege. The Klan can have their status, and they could walk around with hoods on if they want to at night. Black people can be hanged from trees to this day, and the police department is still classifying it as suicide.
Yeah,
it's just crazy.
And I think it also speaks to not only just the divide between Black and white, but I think what's even more significant, I think, for us is the divide between Black and Black, because that's what you see even in this film. It's like they know how to pin us against each other, and unfortunately, it's so easy to do so. Something that's as beautiful, or the idea that was beautiful as Black Lives Matter. If you look at what and I don't want to sit here and crap on nobody, but like what the global network is doing, when you see it in a film, like that's that's not cool. I don't want to give it away, so I'm gonna be quiet. But like, it's not cool how they'll use the money or they'll use these things like, hey, we'll give y'all this, and then we're gonna take resources away from folks on the ground, right? And let's sow division between. Now we have people who should be working together. Honestly, grassroots and the global network should be in one entity, almost like a Congress. Hey, this is the Congress. This is the Senate. This is the House of Representatives. We working together. But it's so divided because it's so easy to do that with us, because we don't understand how some of these systems work. We don't understand how it works. That's why we can see.
But Michael, how did it happen though? It happened because white folks
absolutely
wanted to. So I get that. Yeah, there is internal divide, but I think the bigger picture is, how did it happen? It didn't happen internally for Black with them. It happened because white people, the establishment, the powers that be, didn't like the rise of people saying Black Lives Matter. They didn't like the rise of, and even with the Black Panther Party. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So you see all of these things. I mean, I get that, but I mean the larger context is systemic racism in this country.
Oh yeah, absolutely. But we also have some personal agency in this too, meaning like we don't have to let these things. If we can look at and understand the playbook, if we understand that's their playbook, right? Then we can see it coming. So I don't understand with the years of COINTELPRO, with the years of how they divided the Black Panther Party and all the even a lot of the civil rights groups were infiltrated and divided, right? The playbook is there. Ain't like we ain't seen this before. So how do we still allow this to happen today? And again, I'm not blaming, I'm not just putting, but I'm always a big a proponent of charity starts at home. We know what they're doing. We already know what time they're on. So how do we project that, and then how do we project what's going to happen, and then be able to build infrastructure where they can't. That's not going to happen, because we need to have our spaces. Black Lives Matter was a simple call. Hey, we tired of seeing our brothers and sisters get shot down by state sanctioned violence. And guess what? Our lives matter, just like anybody else's lives matter. That turned into a thing that made a lot of people upset. And yeah, of course they're gonna try to tear us apart and but we can't let them do that. Like,
right.
So
right. No, 100%.
But this film speaks to that, and I think it's very powerful. And Neil,
and we went back and forth.
Job.
Thank you as well. We went back and forth just like this conversation, these types of conversations when we were working on this project to build it out to be something that was a representation of one of the most monumental moments, in our present day Black experience, which is the Black Lives Matter movement. And so right now we're on the festival circuit, hopefully finding a distributor to be in your home or theater sometime soon. Before we get out of here, our Black history facts are: in 1983, Michael Jackson's Thriller album reached #1 and stayed there for 37 weeks, selling more than 40 million copies. It was the #1 album in every Western nation. And put in the chat what's your favorite Michael Jackson song off the Thriller album. And finally, in 1985, just 2 years later, Tina Turner won Record of the Year, Song of the Year, and Best Female Vocal Performance with the million-seller album, What's Love Got to Do with It, at the 27th annual Grammy Awards. So those are your soundtracks for today: Thriller and What's Love Got to Do with It. Michael, thank you for joining. Thank you for joining us today.
Thank you, Neil. Thank you. This was fun. I could do it again. I could go all day. We can debate all day, and I love it though. This is amazing. Shout out to you for everything you're doing. Folks don't know how hard Neil works in front of the camera, behind the scenes. Amazing visionary. I'm blessed and privileged to have the opportunity to work with you, and you always sharing your platform with me, and keep doing what you're doing. You are one of the people that gives me hope that we're gonna be all right as a people.
We're gonna be all right. Love collaborating as well, and we love to have you back. For the latest in Black news, you want to head over to Black Press USA, and we'll be back tomorrow with more news, views, and opinions.